This is a podcast of 98FM's Dublin Talks. Remember, catch the show live Monday to Friday at 10 a.m.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy. 98FM.
It appears that every day, last week's abortion referendum result throws up another debate. And today, it's all about doctors and whether or not they should be allowed to refuse to deal with a patient seeking an abortion, refuse to assist them with the termination, and refuse to even refer them on to another doctor. Remember that there were many doctors who were opposed to repeal and object to abortion. Is it fair to force them to deal with a patient who is seeking a termination, or is that part of their job? Now consider this situation. A GP in a practice in Dublin is majorly pro-life. He voted no in the referendum and perhaps even publicly campaigned for a no vote. A woman arrives at his practice seeking an abortion. Should he be able to say no and refuse to deal with the patient on moral grounds? Should the doctor be able to say, I don't feel comfortable referring you to another GP, I am against abortion? Well, Health Minister Simon Harris has spoken out about this and has said that GPs who refuse to refer patients on to other doctors seeking an abortion will need to respect the law of the land. In other words, it will eventually become lawful to terminate a pregnancy here in Ireland. And should a doctor not respect that? Respect that that's the way people voted. And okay, if he has a conscientious objection to dealing with abortion, he should at least refer the patient onto another doctor. Some have said they won't. They won't even do that. He said GPs who object, this is Simon Harris, said GPs who object to abortion should have to refer the patients elsewhere. But some GPs who took part in TV debates have said they could not in good conscience do that and that they would refuse to refer women on. And Simon Harris has said the law of the land will be very clear on that. I'd love to hear from you on this on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Mairead, you're on 98FM. How are you, Mairead?
I'm good, how are you?
Good, thank you. Now, within time, we will have laws in place that allow for the termination of pregnancy, will allow for the prescribing of abortion pills, and so on. What is your opinion on whether or not doctors should row in with this?
Well, to be honest with you, I think it's really unfair, purely because before this yes vote won, it was also law not to give out abortion pills and things like that. And now I know that it was done illegally and things like that or whatever in people's own homes and stuff. But when you went to a clinic and if you asked for an abortion, it just wasn't seen. But what's funny to me is all the yes voters and things like that have voted, they're saying now it's law, it's law, it's law. But they weren't happy with the law that was there in the first place. I just think that if something that you really and truly believe in, it's just, I mean, doctors go through so much emotions and things like that, I'm sure, dealing with different scenarios and situations. I mean, we are all human at the end of the day. So, I mean, they have to go home, knowing that they have, referred someone, say, for an abortion and things like that, knowing that they gave a helping hand to that person, even though they don't believe in it.
Okay, but if and when these laws come into place, which the government have said will be before the end of the year, and, come 2019, we have legal terminations here in Ireland, surely for a patient to go into her GP and the GP bluntly saying, no, don't want to know, okay, but can you send me to a doctor who will deal with it? No. Now, that's a bit much, is it not?
Well, to be honest with you, with different GPs and things like that, sometimes or whatever, you'll have your regular patient and things like that. And, either that you kind of have a queue of kind of, not all their beliefs, obviously, but it may be kind of a thing where they can actually kind of put it up on a site or whatever, you know, just to kind of not say it bluntly, but to kind of, you know, have the research there so the patient can go to a doctor that she knows will give her the pill or things like that, if you get me.
Okay, but, you know, in the case where it's not advertised, where she doesn't know, and maybe this particular doctor could have been a family doctor for years, for him to say, I'm not even prepared to refer you on to another doctor, do you not think that that's a bit... I mean, it's going against the law of the land.
That's true, but, I mean, you see, this is only a new law now, but everybody had issues in that beforehand. I just think, or whatever, not getting too far into it or whatever on the abortion kind of topic itself, but, I mean, there was very low, hard cases and things like that. There wasn't that many people that were going into GPs in Ireland to ask for the abortion pill in the first place. This is just a new thing now, or whatever, and unfortunate cases and that are coming forward and that. But it's just, I think that if somebody has a belief that they do not want to help with this, that they shouldn't be forced to, like everyone has their own beliefs and that. And I just think the patients should respect that.
Okay, stay there for 1 second, because Tash, you think the exact opposite, that doctors can't be allowed to let their emotions decide.
Yes, I believe they cannot decide. As I work in healthcare myself, you know, I deal with different kinds of people every single day. People from different backgrounds, people with different situations, everything. It just goes against what we do, because, you know, if I was going to not treat everybody that I disagreed with their lifestyle with, that means I would refuse to treat drug addicts. I would refuse to treat alcoholics. I would refuse to treat anybody who my views don't agree with. So you can't, you know, I got into this profession knowing that I'm going to deal with challenges every single day, that I'm going to deal with patients whose lifestyle choices I don't agree with things that they do that I find morally either disgusting or wrong, you know, without going into detail about what I have dealt with over the last few years. But, you know, it's not for a GP to decide. It's not for his morals to decide how to treat a patient. You know, a woman comes to him in a very vulnerable emotional state. I mean, it's not as easy as going down to the hairdresser, getting a haircut. You know, it's a very difficult decision for a woman to make. She has to live with that decision for the rest of her life.
Indeed.
So in that moment, in that time, she needs support. She needs to know that she can go to somebody that she trusts. If she can't go to her family, if she knows her family won't support her, if her friends won't support her, the last people there are the healthcare professionals, and we are there to care for them.
But if a doctor, and let's be honest, there were quite an amount of them that came out publicly during the debate to say that they are against it, and I remember one particular doctor, I can't remember his name, saying that he became a doctor, and this was a young doctor, he became a doctor to save life, not end life, and that's why he was fundamentally opposed to the introduction of abortion in Ireland. Now, that same doctor, surely, in all good conscience, can't get involved in even helping a woman to terminate her pregnancy when he is so set against it.
That's fair enough, and that's his own opinion, and everybody is entitled to their own opinions and their own stances of different things. But it's not up to us to decide, you know, whether the choice for that person is morally right or wrong. We aren't in their shoes.
And he's not necessarily deciding whether it's right or wrong. He is saying, I want nothing to do with this.
That's fair enough. Then he can just refer them on to other people. There's nothing wrong.
But that's him being involved by referring the person on. He is getting involved.
It is a hard situation. I mean, you know, it's then he shouldn't be in the profession that he is. I mean, there's so many things that I've come across.
Let me just go back to Mairead for 1 second. If he's not prepared to at least refer somebody on to a doctor who will deal with it, Mairead, he shouldn't be in that profession.
Well, to be honest with you, I have a friend of mine or whatever that has studied for years training to be a doctor. Now she's gone on and she wants to be a GP. And I mean, the amount of money they actually have to produce to do exams and things like that, this takes so much in order to actually have this profession. If she has the opinion of a no vote, that's all her hard work or whatever down the drain, because she has the belief that she should not give that pill to a woman that wants to terminate a pregnancy.
Yeah,
So,
I
mean,
understand that, but overwhelmingly, as we all know, 2/3 of our electorate voted in favour of this law. So this is the demand from the general public for these laws to be brought in. It's a bit nasty, is it not, to blatantly ignore the will of the people?
Well, do you not think it's probably nasty to kind of force somebody with really high beliefs that you are ending a life and that is another patient? Once it is with that woman, if it's alive, it has to be treated as a second patient. And if it would be the exact same thing if that woman wanted to keep that pregnancy, he would have to make sure that child is safe. It's another life.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp the programme 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Where am I going now? Colm, you're on 98FM. How are you, Colm?
Not too bad.
Now, Colm, what did you want to say?
No, it's just I don't agree with the doctors being allowed to refuse to refer the patient on. I think fair enough if they have a conscientious objection to doing it themselves, okay, fair enough. But they should have to refer them to a different doctor.
Now, that is more or less what Simon Harris has been saying, that the law of the land will be very clear on referrals, and I think it'll force them to do it, although some have still said, no, I won't do that.
Well, the way I look at it is at the moment they're more than likely prescribing the morning after pill at times. So I don't see why they should have much of a problem with referring someone on to somewhere else, you know what I mean?
Because they're then involved in the process. And
if they're prescribing the morning after pill, they're involved in the process anyway.
Well, maybe some doctors just don't see this.
Well,
see it as the same thing.
That's in their hypocritical head then, isn't it? You know what I mean?
So what's in other words, what you're getting at the end of the day? What's the difference between a doctor, and I've never heard of any doctor who refused to
prescribe that?
Yeah, on moral grounds or whatever.
So like at the end of it, it's the same thing. You know what I mean? It might be just further down the line, but it's the same thing at the end of the day.
So as far as you're concerned, yes, they should be able to say, I don't want to handle abortion cases, but no, they should not be able to refuse to refer somebody on to a doctor who will.
Definitely not.
Should there be a penalty if they do?
Yeah, the penalty should be struck off. They lose their license to practice. Yeah, dead serious. The taxpayers of this country paid for them to become doctors. We paid for them. And now they're going to turn around and say, no, we're not doing what you want. Not a hope. So
you would have a doctor who refuses to refer somebody on. You would have that doctor struck off.
I'd have him struck off, or do some sort of audit, find out how much the state paid towards his education, and demand that money back off him.
Wow.
Or her.
But he or she has a really... And I gave an example of a young doctor who said he became a doctor to prolong life and to save life and not to end life, and that's why he was voting no, and he was very vocal about it. You want that doctor who is completely against abortion to be made to be involved in the process somehow.
As in a referral. If he doesn't want to be involved in the actual performing of it himself, a referral. It's just simply writing a letter or saying, here you go, that doctor there look at you.
Okay, but should he refuse to refer somebody on to a doctor who will deal with it? He's struck off. Strike
him off, or demand the money that we invested in his education back.
Okay, stay there for 1 second. Our telephone number is 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Is Colm right? Should a doctor be struck off if he refuses to refer a patient to a doctor who will deal with abortion? We're talking about conscientious objectors, doctors who voted no, doctors who have a moral objection to abortion and don't want to be involved in the abortion process at all. Some have said that they will even refuse to refer a patient on to a doctor who will deal with them. According to Colm, they should be struck off. Marion, you're on 98FM. Hiya, Marion.
Hiya. Listening to your previous guest, we're not very pro-choice if you're going to impose and force a doctor to be a participant in an abortion. And if they refer a patient to a medic that is going to be involved, that also involves them. So we're gradually becoming a dictatorship, and the question is, who next will become the target? It's becoming
meaning
very,
what?
very,
What do you
very
mean?
dangerous. Well, if medics who refuse abortion or participate in one, and if they're referring a patient to another doctor who will participate, that is forcing them against their freedom of conscience to be a participant in abortion. So it's not very pro-choice to begin with.
Okay, so hang on for 1 second. The doctor is against abortion, blah, 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 as we've just explained, okay. For him to give a referral, and that is, Marion, I'm sorry, I don't want to be involved in the abortion process at all. I won't treat you for whatever. However, Dr. O'Brien down the road, he will. There's his phone number.
That's forcing, he's still a participant. For example, if you receive a diagnosis that you have a cancerous tumour, you were referred by your GP to begin with to the hospital, your GP is still a participant in that diagnosis. And the same applies with abortion. If he refers a patient onto another GP, then that's forcing him or her to be a participant in an abortion.
Okay, Colm, where is the choice? Where is, the majority of us voted for choice last week. You're not giving that doctor the choice.
I'll tell you where the choice is. Do it or get out. End of.
But that's a dictatorship.
I don't care. I paid for them. My taxes paid for his education. How dare he refuse to treat somebody that's paid for his education?
And then on the other hand, that doctor is a taxpayer and you're forcing him.
I don't care. He took enough money. He got well paid during his training as well. While he was in a hospital training, he was getting paid as well. So
and then on the other hand, you're forcing him.
The poor doctors that are earning a fortune out of this country. They're earning a fortune from this country. If they don't want to treat the people in this country, get out.
Well, he's not refusing to treat people.
No, he is.
What you are doing,
he as a patient,
abortion isn't treatment. It is treatment for no disease or ailment.
You tell the people that have mental health problems that need an abortion because of that, that's not treatment.
And I also know patients who have developed mental health problems due to
We've already decided that it is treatment, okay? We've already decided that. We've had a referendum and we decided that it is treatment. We decided that it is a legal treatment for mental health issues.
We didn't. We decided.
No, we did.
We decided to make it legal.
We decided that it is a treatment for mental health issues. That was one of the main heads of it.
It's not a treatment for any disease, and it has led people to substance abuse and suicide.
What? Go away, would you?
I know the rape victim of the sea case is one of those examples.
Let me go back, Marion. Let me go back to Colm's point, and that is that if a doctor refuses to even give the name and phone number of another doctor who will treat the patient, that person should be struck off the register. He should not be a doctor anymore for denying any sort of help to a woman with a crisis pregnancy.
Well, I'll tell you why that whole idea is actually ridiculous, because you're striking off a doctor who treats numerous patients, and we've a shortage of GPs, to numerous patients with various different conditions. So we're just going to leave it at short.
That's more of a reason. That's more of a reason.
It's not more of a reason. He's there treating other patients.
If we've a shortage of GPs,
You're refusing a GP the right to practice as a doctor.
No, I'm not.
You are, because you won't participate in abortion.
The right to practice within the law. And the law now states that, will state that abortion will be legal. If that doctor is refusing to provide
but
a
it's not
legal
compulsory.
service...
You've got to remember that. The whole time pro-choice said abortion will not be compulsory. And we're making it compulsory for doctors to participate.
But, I mean, nobody ever suggested abortion was going to be compulsory.
Exactly, but you're making this argument means...
No, to treat a patient. Hang on a second. A doctor's job is to treat a patient. That is compulsory.
Let me ask you, Colm, how do you feel...
What is he treating? You're not treating...
Hang on, who am I talking to? You or her?
Both of us, actually. Colm, you believe a doctor who refuses to refer a patient on should be struck off. What about a doctor who... Do you think they have a right to object to dealing with it? I'm not talking about refusing to refer.
If they feel that strongly about it, that they don't need to prescribe it or perform it or whatever way it'll be done, they don't need to do that. But I think that the minimum that they should be demanded to do is at least refer them on to a different doctor.
Okay, stay there for 1 second, because Teresa, I'm going to talk to you straight after the break. You're dumbfounded by what you're hearing today. Why?
Absolutely. We've gone through the referendum. We've heard all the bloody arguments. Now, if the referendum is over, there's a part in a doctor thing that he signs, like a contract type thing when he's becoming a doctor, stating that regardless of the patient, he is there to treat the patient. And the patient in this case is a woman going in looking for help because she's in a situation she doesn't want to be in.
Paul, you're sick of this being rammed down our throats. Why?
Because the likes of Colm is an absolute moron. He's trying to justify that abortion is the same as the morning after pill when it clearly isn't. The morning after pill, you're not even pregnant. It's to stop you from being pregnant. Abortion is when a child gets ripped out of a woman's uterus. And then this whole referendum is being rammed down our throats. Oh, it's about a woman's right to choose, and it's about our bodies when it's clearly two bodies.
Okay, but there's no point in us continuing to debate it. The people voted very clearly last week.
I know that, but I'm getting to the point. The point is, as I said, it's been rammed down our throats that it's a woman's right to choose. But you're trying to take the right of a doctor away to choose whether he wants to be a part of this or not.
Okay, but it's
all about choice.
It has been recognised that a doctor has a right to have a conscientious objection and not deal with it, okay? However, should that right extend to his refusal... Hang on, should it extend to his refusal to give the name and phone number of a doctor who will deal with them?
No, if he doesn't want any part of it, well, then that's his choice. He has a right to choose whether he wants to be a part of the slaughter of kids or not.
Well, stay there for 1 second, because I just want to play a little bit of audio. This is from Pat Kenny's debate on TV3 last week about abortion. And this is Brendan, who's a GP, who spoke about this matter on that debate last week.
Brendan, you're a GP as well.
I'm advocating a no vote, Pat. The referendum on Friday is about removing all human rights from all unborn babies in this country, and the government's proposals to deliberately end those lives. I think what I want to be crystal clear on is that deliberately ending the life of innocent children is not medicine. It is not healthcare whatsoever. I became a doctor to heal, with the aim of healing, not harming, and certainly not ending a life. And I think what we need to remember here is that when we talk about, clearly it's ending the life of an unborn child.
Okay, now let me just go back to Teresa. Teresa, could you expect that doctor to be involved in the process of abortion in any way?
Yes, I would, because that's why he's a doctor. It's law. It's going to come into law. And the doctor, it's all about, the whole thing about the referendum was choice for women. Okay, now that choice is being granted, now the doctors are stepping in and saying, we don't want to refer you to anybody, we don't want to have anything to do with the abortion. When a doctor becomes a doctor, he becomes a doctor to treat patients. Regardless of background, regardless of what they're in there for, he's there to treat the patient.
Correct. But as you could hear from that clip from the TV3 last week, he doesn't believe that abortion is healthcare. He believes it's the exact opposite.
Then he's in the wrong profession.
Well, Paul, what would you say to that? That he's in the wrong profession?
He clearly states he's there to save lives, not take lives.
Sorry, I didn't hear that. Say that again?
He's here to save lives, not take lives. That's the profession of a doctor. So how is abortion healthcare?
Okay.
How is abortion healthcare?
Okay. A 13-year-old child is brought in after being raped. Is he going to help her? Is he going to help her get an abortion? Is he going to refer her to another doctor? Or is he going to leave it?
I've had this out with many people. If anybody in my family gets raped, I'm not going to wait 3, 4, 5 months before I get them fucking seen there. Sorry for cursing.
But they don't have to wait. He's talking about the flipping abortion pill. You don't have to wait 3 or 4 months. This is like weeks,
go get them checked immediately so they don't get pregnant.
Okay. So here we go. A 13-year-old who's terrified after something like that happens or doesn't say anything. Waits a couple of weeks, they discover she's pregnant. What happens then? You tell me. I bring her to the doctor and he's going to turn around and say...
I'm pretty sure you're going to know there's something up with your 13-year-old. Every mother...
No. There's 13-year-olds I know in the UK at this present moment in time that are actually giving birth and their parents didn't even know they were pregnant because they can hide it that well. Because they don't even know themselves what's going on with their body. They're terrified. Now you're telling me a doctor can refuse that child?
If that's what he believes in, yes. If that's what he believes in, it's his choice to choose. As I said,
okay,
it's a woman's choice to choose. If it's a woman's right to choose, if it's a woman's right to choose to get rid of her child, well then it's the doctor's right to choose whether he wants to save that child or refer it on to someone else.
No, but okay, Paul, here's where people have a bit of a problem, okay? Yes, it has been agreed that doctors will be allowed to have a conscientious objection and will be allowed to not deal with abortion or prescribing the abortion pill or anything like that, okay? And that's fine, and I think a lot of people get that, and I'm sure, Teresa, you even understand that, do you?
I totally understand that, but
right.
Again, it's going back to the same thing. It's taking the choice away from the woman.
No, but do you respect the right of a GP to not want to be involved in any provision of abortion services?
I respect that, but I also respect that he should have it within him as a GP to refer to somebody who will deal with it.
Okay, now, Paul, all you're talking about here is giving a name and a phone number of a GP down the road who will deal with it.
Yeah, but it's still going to be on his conscience, though. The conscience that he gave someone a name and a number to someone that's going to end the child's life when he purely has morals that he doesn't want to kill that
Paul, you're saying that's going to be on his conscience. A woman walks out of his surgery after him saying, no, I don't want to have any part in this. She is mentally disturbed because of what's happened to her. Yeah? So is it going to be on his conscience when she's found hanging out of a lamppost? When she's forced herself off a bloody motorway? Will that be on his conscience?
It's her decision. All he knows is that he's protecting a child. He doesn't know what...
But he's not protecting the child. He goes and does something stupid, is he?
Well, that's her being stupid. And
the other thing about the referendum is to protect the woman. The woman has to be protected. The child can be born into the world. It's no good with no mother. The mother is not there to protect the child. That's the whole thing. Okay? The woman was given the choice. The doctor should respect that choice and do what he's supposed to do. If he doesn't want to be directly involved, give a bloody doctor's number or a name or refer her to a clinic, whatever.
And how far, Teresa, would you take this? Because, like I said, the Minister for Health has said that the law of the land will be very clear on a doctor's obligation to refer a patient. And if a doctor I don't know precisely what he means by that, but he's saying, no, we're not going to have this. We're not going to have doctors refusing to refer. What do you think the ultimate sanction should be if a doctor does refuse to refer a patient on?
They're breaking the law. They're breaking the law, and they have to abide by the law. And that's what it's all about.
Would you go so far as to strike that doctor off?
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely. Why not? If he's refusing... Okay, if you go into a hospital and you have your terminal illness and the doctor turns around and sends you home and says, listen, can't help you, nothing I can do for you. A second doctor comes along and says, hang on, can I do something? That doctor has refused to do something for you. So therefore another doctor is treating you. Now, that doctor should be struck off for not treating you in the first place. What is the difference? That patient is going in there.
Paul, if a doctor refuses to refer you on, he should be struck off the medical register.
That's absolute... I'm not even going to say the word. It's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. He's a doctor. As that doctor said, he's here to save lives, not take lives. The same could be said. The same could be said. How many women were locked up for committing abortion when the 8th Amendment was in real? How many women were locked up?
None that I'm aware
None.
of, because...
Exactly, none.
Yeah. Why
There
would
was
they
none
get
locked up. So why should it was clear that you could get locked up for 14 years, but nobody was ever locked up.
No.
Nobody was.
No.
And he done that
And
behind the law of the land. So why should he get locked up for the law of the land if he has moral rights?
This is about a doctor giving a phone number, Paul. Now, come on.
It doesn't matter. He has a conscience. He doesn't want to commit the act of murder.
But hang on for 1 second. Paul, that same doctor, in fairness, okay, if he refuses to give a phone number, sure, the woman just has to walk out and will be able to find the phone number for a doctor fairly handily. But it's the principle of saying, I am not helping in any way, shape or form.
Okay.
That's exactly it. He doesn't want that to deal with it.
I'm out on the road. I'm driving too fast, hit a car, kill somebody. Should I go to prison? I'm breaking the law. I broke the law by driving too fast and killing somebody. Right? I broke the law. He's breaking the law by not doing what he's supposed to do. Morals don't come into it.
Morals do come into it. It's the law. Because he's the right to choose, and he's choosing not to do it. As I said, the woman has a right to choose whether she gets to get her child or not.
He's breaking the law.
How is that breaking the law, though? He's morally... He has a choice. He's getting given a choice whether he chooses not to help or not.
But then he needs to be in another profession. If he doesn't have to... If he feels that he doesn't have to choice...
Why should he be in another profession? Because he doesn't want to kill
Because he's breaking the law.
Okay, let me just squeeze in. Stay there, both of you, for 1 second. We'll bring in one very last call on this. And that's you, Alexandra. You're on 98FM. What did you want to say?
No, let me get this straight, right? So this is the point of view from a woman with a bad medical history when it comes to pregnancy, yeah? So I had many miscarriages, late miscarriages, stillbirth. Now, on the last pregnancy, my GP said to me, Alex, you'll be better off having all those visits in a hospital because it's not too much I can do for you. Okay? So I'm asking those GP now, what are they doing for pregnant women in troubles right now when it happens? Nothing. They just refer them to hospital, isn't it? So why are you opposing this?
Some doctors, and you heard the clip I played a couple of minutes ago, some doctors are fundamentally against abortion, okay? Now, it has already been agreed that a doctor can have a conscientious objection and can refuse to participate in the provision of abortion services. However, they would be expected to give a referral to a different doctor. Should he not have a right, or she have a right to say, no, I don't want to be involved in this at all?
Of course not, because that referral letter is just your morals. If you're refusing that, it's obviously just your morals. And why, if you believe, I'm referring to exactly the same doctor which you talked about earlier, the young one, which had me mental that day. So let me get this straight. If you believe there are two patients, yeah, why not into obstetric right now? Because it's only there where a doctor can really go onto seeing two only.
Okay, all right, I take your point. Thank you very much indeed for your call. Thank you all of you for your calls. I have to leave it at that. You're listening to 98FM's Dublin Talks.
This is a podcast of 98FM's Dublin Talks. Remember, catch the show live Monday to Friday at 10 a.m.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
98FM.